is SportsCenter.
Ha, Skip. All right, let's get right to it. Welcome to Undisputed, folks. We're diving into the power rankings in the Madden's Kingdom League, your grandma's favorite league. These teams, Skip, are shaking things up in ways that'll make you want to put your money on M, so buckle up, because we're about to break down who's on top and who's not.
Sure, here goes. Shannon, you know I've been all over these rankings, and let me start with the Packers at number one. They're sitting at 3-0 right now. They've got a solid offense, and defensively, they're tough. The general manager of the Packers, Celica Steady, is still out there pulling the strings. Now, let's talk about the Seahawks at number two. They were firing on all cylinders last season, and they might have been number one if they still had quarterback Dak Prescott, but he ended up signing with our division rivals, the Rams.
Skip, you know and I know, losing Dak was like getting punched in the gut for Seattle. That X factor, poof, gone. They're trying to patchwork things together, and it's just not the same. But hey, they got some firepower on offense, 452.67 yards per game. That's not too shabby. Still, at the end of the day, they ain't all that dangerous without their star quarterback.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the San Francisco 49ers. Going 3-0 and beating the Seahawks in week one was quite impressive. But you and I both know this is the year for them. After this, they're going to fall off a cliff, and why? Because once they have to pay quarterback Brock Purdy, they won't be able to keep everyone around him, and they're an old team. They're one injury away from being in real trouble.
Skip, you know I got your back on this one. The 49ers are on fire right now, but they're playing with fire too. They got old players, and paying Purdy's is going to mess things up. But they're on a run. 3-0 got EM at number 3 in the ranking, but you got to prepare yourself because they're going to fall off, guaranteed.
Moving on to the Bucs, they've been impressive with their 3-0 start. They've got a top-notch defense led by Peyton Wilson, and they've been getting it done on offense. However, it's worth noting that they're in a competitive division, and that could pose some challenges down the road.
You're spot on, Skip. Losing Baker was a big blow, but they're stepping up in new ways. Isaiah Pacheco is carrying the offense, and Kyler Murray is holding down the fort in the passing game. They're a tough team, and at 3-0, they're proving they belong in the top ranks. Solid stuff, solid stuff.
Next up, the Steelers, sitting at 3-0 this season. Their identity has always been centered around tough defense, and with an offense that's beginning to come together, they're quite dangerous right now. Dare I say they have one of the best rosters in the league, but with a head coach who has a history of falling short in big moments, I just have a hard time believing in them to bring home a Super Bowl title.
Skip, you are not wrong there. The Steelers are the embodiment of grit. Their defense is top-notch, and if their offense keeps rolling, they could be a force to be reckoned with. They ain't no pushovers, that's for sure.
The Cardinals are sitting at a solid 3-0 this season. They've been bringing the heat on both sides of the ball with an electric offense and a solid defense. However, my concern is that they're in the toughest division in the NFC, which might make it challenging for them to secure a spot in the playoffs.
Let me tell you, Skip, I love what the Cardinals are doing right now. Their offense has been on fire, and they're holding their own in a tough division. But, and there's always a but, can they keep up this level of play throughout the season? That's the million-dollar question right there. Let's see if they got what it takes to go the distance.
The Falcons are 2-1, but they suffered an overtime loss to the Packers. If they were in the AFC, they would be the clear-cut favorites to represent that conference, but the NFC has a lot more talented teams. They definitely have potential, but quarterback Michael Penix hasn't taken that next step forward just yet.
Skip, you couldn't have said it better. Penix is a solid QB, but he ain't quite there yet, ain't on that elite level. If he gets to that point, this team could really take off. But right now, they're still searching for that consistent level of play at the most important position. But hey, they're no joke on defense. Ranking 4th in yards per game, they're tough as nails. The future's looking bright for the Falcons, but they got work to do, that's for sure.
The Chargers are 2-1, showing some solid play, but there are concerns about their defense. They've got the offensive firepower, but can they step up on defense when it counts? They made some significant moves to bolster their defense this offseason, but they haven't quite lived up to expectations. I'm not sure if it's a chemistry issue or a coaching issue, but I hope they can figure it out and turn things around.
You're right on the money there, Skip. The Chargers are a force to reckon with on offense, but defensively, they got to step it up if they want to make a real run for it. So far, they've done solid, but they can't afford to let their guard down. They got to keep it strong on both ends of the field to be considered a true threat.
The Houston Texans, also at 2-0, have been a pleasant surprise. They've been aggressive and playing hard. Their offense is firing on all cylinders right now, and if they can maintain this level of performance, they could become a team to keep an eye on.
Skip, you ain't kidding. The Texans have been quietly doing their thing, and they've got the goods. They've been low-key, but if they can keep it rolling, they could really make some moves. Don't underestimate this team. They're hungry, and they could surprise some folks.
Now, let's talk about the Bills, sitting at 2-1 this season. They've got an abundance of talent, but can quarterback Josh Allen shoulder the load and lead them to the top? He's been solid thus far, but this team needs to establish a consistent level of play to truly compete.
Skip, you said it. Bills are a team that could go the distance or flop real quick, depending on how they play. Allen's got to bring his A game for them to make any real noise. Consistency is key for these guys.
The Vikings are sitting at 2-1, playing a solid brand of football, but to stay in the mix, they'll need to kick things up a notch in the coming weeks. However, they have the potential to be a dark horse as the season progresses.
Skip, you got it right. The Vikings are solid, but they've got to be consistent. Their defense is a bit of a roller coaster, ups and downs. To really go toe-to-toe with the top teams, they need to shore up a few things. They've got the potential, but they got to bring it week in and week out. Consistency is key.
The Lions are at 2-1, performing solidly overall, but they need to find a way to get past some of the top teams. Their defense has been somewhat inconsistent, and they'll have to tighten things up if they want to make a deep playoff run.
Skip, you know it. The Lions got some serious talent all over that field. Playmakers galore, but their defense ain't cutting it. If they can get that sorted out, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They've got the pieces, just got to put them together.
The Chiefs are off to a 2-0 start, and they're always a force to be reckoned with. With stars like Devon Witherspoon and DK Metcalf on board, they're practically the NFL's answer to the Seattle Seahawks. But the big question remains, can their offense carry the defense this season?
Skip, ain't that the truth? The Chiefs are the Chiefs, and Mahomes ain't nothing to mess with. Once they find their footing, they'll be just fine. They got the talent, they got the firepower. It's just about getting into that groove. And when they do, it's over.
The Cowboys are currently sitting at 1-1, with talent on their roster, but experiencing some early season struggles. Their rookie quarterback will need to step up and get things rolling, or else it could be a long season for Dallas.
Skip, you're spot on. The Cowboys got the goods, but they've been all over the place. Defense and Kenneth Walker need to step up and get this team on track. If they can't find their footing, they're just going to be stuck in that mediocre zone. Consistency is key.
The Ravens,
they got to bring it if they want to go the distance.
The Ravens have had a rough start to the season, going 0-3 after being devastated in the Super Bowl. They're in a tough spot right now and have been struggling to find their footing and get back on track.
You're right about that, Skip. That Super Bowl loss is weighing them down. They've been out of sync and struggling to get their groove back. Talent is there, no doubt, but they need to dig deep and find a way to ignite that spark again if they want to turn things around. The potential is there, but they got to tap into it to be contenders.
The Eagles are currently 1-2, and despite having a talented roster, they've been hindered by subpar performance from their rookie quarterback and some inconsistencies early in the season.
You ain't kidding, Skip. The Eagles got talent, but their coach's situation ain't exactly helping. They've been up and down, and being led by an autistic coach ain't making things any easier. They need to get it together, play smarter, and find that consistency if they want to stand a chance. Being contenders ain't easy, and they're facing some unique challenges for sure.
Teams like the Giants, Saints, and Panthers are having a rough start to the season, and they're facing an uphill battle to turn things around unless they can figure out how to start playing consistently.
Skip, you hit the nail on the head. The Giants and the Saints, they got talent, but they ain't quite got it all figured out yet. They've been trying, but it just ain't coming together. And as for the Panthers, 0-3 is a real tough spot to be in right now. They're digging themselves a hole that they may not be able to climb out of if they don't act quick.